G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Bitcoin video. I didn't make a video yesterday, I wasn't really feeling around to it, there wasn't too much to discuss in the market either, unfortunately, but today we're back here with a fresh video. We're going to be discussing the Bitcoin short-term price action, going to be discussing what's happening with Bitcoin on a longer-term time frame as well, with regard and with mention made of the fact that the inflation rate, the CPI numbers will be releasing in roughly 1 week, and that could also dramatically affect the probability of a 50 basis point hike rather than a 25 basis point hike, depending on where that number goes. So without further ado, let's dive straight into the video. What we have on Bitcoin is the same thing we've had for a while now, except there has been one major development. I'll get into that in just a second. The main structure we're looking at here for Bitcoin is, of course, we had an ascending wedge, but that is now broken down, so we can go ahead and actually delete those dashed lines there. The main structure I'm really looking at here is this ascending channel formation. Now, obviously, as you guys might know, and if you don't know, I'll explain it to you now, ascending channel formations are essentially patterns of exhaustion. They mean that the upwards price trend is probably going to be coming to an end. And that is about a 74% probability of occurring according to regular market patterns in regular market environments, which we have to be forced to consider, which is what this is. So if we were to break down from this ascending channel formation, we could take a measured move from a channel from the first retest of the top to the first retest of the bottom and apply that move to the breakout point, and we can see we would be targeting around 19,000, depending on where we broke down. If we broke down today, for example, it would be still targeting 19,000. So we broke down, for example, at the end of the month, we'd be targeting something like 19,600. Now, it's interesting that the number 19,000 comes up quite a bit, because 19,000 is actually the zone that I have labeled as the zone we need to hold in order to maintain bullish structure in the market. It's very important to note, just because I said this is a pattern of exhaustion, just because I said Bitcoin might be breaking down, in fact, it's likely to break down from this pattern, it certainly doesn't mean that the bottom is not in, okay? I believe the bottom is in, I believe in the 4-year cycle theory, I believe the bottom was in here at 15.4K. But I have said multiple times, we are at risk of doing something, and this is probably our biggest risk on Bitcoin, of doing a Wyckoff accumulation pattern on a regular schematic sense. So what we mean by this is the follows, right? We mean, and what I mean, I should say, is we could be here, right, where I'm circling right now, on Wyckoff accumulation. If that is the case, we could drop downwards to new lows in the month of April, potentially May. The problem with this theory, and the reason why it's not very strong, right, for the bearish argument, is this. We also have a second formation, a second variant of Wyckoff accumulation, which we could be in as well. And we could be in the same phase. We could be right here, and we could correct downwards and consolidate for a while in the middle of the range. The middle of the range is around 19K. From there, we could go back upwards. So Wyckoff accumulation, of course, is a bearish argument you can make. However, it doesn't necessarily guarantee new lows in any sense of the word, because the first the first half of Wyckoff accumulation is the same for the ultra bearish scenario as it is for the semi-bearish scenario. So realistically, we could be seeing Wyckoff accumulation, and we could just go downwards towards 19K, which is where the daily chart suggests we go, okay? And then go upwards from there. That, in my opinion, is probably the most likely route for Bitcoin right now. Now, as for whether it's exactly going to be 19K is hard to say. We do, of course, have the bull market support band, which is currently sitting at the bottom at around 19.8K and at the top at around 21K. So realistically, it could be a little bit higher. I think that when we take into account that the 2017 all-time high on Bitcoin, okay, let's go ahead and see where that was. That was at here at around 19.9K, all right? It does stand to reason that we might be seeing a correction to the higher part of the 19K region, potentially even 20K, rather than the lower part, regardless of what the ascending channel says. What you'll notice when it comes to TA, what you'll notice when it comes to charting is that measured moves, and that is measuring a move from market patterns. So for example, what I did before, taking a measured move from top of the channel to the bottom of the channel and applying that to the breakout point, they're pretty weak. They don't necessarily, they're not very accurate. They don't play out that often in a full sense of the word. So, you know, in the full sense of the theory, I should say. So what I would say is this. I think Bitcoin is likely to break down. I think the 4-hourly chart supports that as well. What we're seeing on the 4-hourly chart is some sort of bear flag formation. A bear flag formation is when you see a sharp downwards move, followed by an ascending channel formation, followed by another sharp downwards move. I think we are at serious risk of breaking down further. And, you know, another thing that really supports that is the fact that we had an RSI triangle formation that actually stemmed from November 27th or 28th here. We've finally broken that to the downside as well. What you'll notice in charting is that when you have an RSI pattern that matches or resembles the patterns you're seeing on the price chart, that RSI pattern will usually break down or up first before the price chart, and then the price chart will actually follow. That's one of the main methods I use in TA for predicting moves downwards before the move actually goes downwards, right? So it's very important to understand how RSI works in that regard. And this actually confirms the high likelihood that Bitcoin breaks downwards. So if I was to make a prediction on Bitcoin price chart right now, if I was to make a prediction about where Bitcoin is going over March, what I'll say is this, and what I'll say is this with, reference to the fact that in the month of February and at the start of March, I have always said, and you guys can quote me on this, I have always said that March will most likely be a month of consolidation, if not downwards. I actually used the word bloody March in a video about a week ago. I still stand by that. I think that most likely Bitcoin will correct downwards to the high 19K region, potentially low 20K region in the month of March, and from that point we'll see some consolidation and eventually raise back up for the month of April to be a bullish month in which we start testing the top of the range again. I think that April will be the month where we potentially even break out of the 25.2K range. I think that April will be the month in which we potentially even break above the 200-week SMA and make a run for the hills, a run for 28.6K, which is our major bull market resistance zone and our major bear market resistance zone, I should say. So, look, that's my overall prediction for Bitcoin for, basically the rest of March, or more specifically the next couple of weeks. I think we will go downwards to high 19Ks, low 20Ks, and then April will be a bullish month. And, obviously it's hard to say exactly when that bullishness will start. It depends when the correction occurs. And obviously there's room for error there, but that's probably the most likely scenario for Bitcoin right now after a rejection of 25.2K. After a rejection off the top of the range, you generally see correction, and that's what I think is going to happen. So provided we stay above 19K, and there's a very specific reason why I say 19K, provided we stay above 19K, which is where the bull market support band is, which is a very major zone for Bitcoin, right? And it's also where the 200-day SMA is. Provided we stay above that level, it's also a horizontal support zone. We're still looking golden for Bitcoin. There's no reason to be ultra bearish on anything as long as Bitcoin is above 19K. But I guarantee you this, people will start flipping ultra bearish at 19K, and that will be when the move starts to the upside, as it always is. When people flip bullish, the market flips bearish. When people flip bearish, the market flips bullish. Generally speaking, the majority is always wrong. You can't overutilize that saying, that majority is always wrong saying. Sometimes it doesn't stand true, but it's on a generalized scale, it's generally true on a long enough time frame. So that's what I think is going to happen for the rest of March. Obviously invalidation of that comes in multiple ways. One of the ways we can invalidate that is just breaking above 25.2K preemptively. In that case, all the predictions that I just made would be labeled invalid, and we will make a run for 28.6K. The reason why I say we'll make a run for 28.6K upon breaking the range is because there's very little, as per the volume profile, there's very little historical resistance between 25.2K and 28K. So if we break 25.2K, we will quite literally sprint upwards towards 28.6K, and that's what the TA suggests at this point in time. So obviously you should be watching 25.2K to the upside. To the downside, you should be watching the bottom of the channel. And as for things like the monthly chart, which I've deemed to be quite important over the last couple of months here, I've been looking at it quite regularly. We do still have the same resistance zones at 23.3K and the same support zone at 19.6K. The fact that that support zone's at 19.6K does further reinforce the amount of weight I'm adding to that 19K-ish price region. It's a very important region. I think the monthly chart also suggests that is the case. So provided we close the monthly candle above 19.6K and we hold that support zone, I think we'll be in a position to skyrocket upwards and break above the upper resistance zone within April, potentially even May. It really depends on, we can't really predict months into the future, but I think April will probably be a good month. Anyway, as for other charts here, S&P 500 has bounced off support, which is good to see, because a lot of people are ultra bearish on traditional markets, and right now it's been bottomed out for in excess of like 5 months. So it's pretty interesting people still bearish on the S&P. I know you can see lengthy bounces, and you certainly can see lengthy bounces, and then it certainly can go downwards further. But, it bottomed out 5 months ago now, so, you have to start to wonder maybe the bottom actually is in for the S&P. It's very hard to say. Of course, that goes into macroeconomic factors. I'm not in a position to make any predictions on that regard. I haven't done enough research on that at this point in time. And the reason why I haven't bothered to do much research on it is because I simply don't believe that the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ will drag down Bitcoin. I've made my case for this multiple times in the past. There's 3 main reasons, one of which is the 4-year cycle theory, the second of which is the fact that Bitcoin is more related to gold. In a recession, I think it will act more like gold. And the third of which is simply that Bitcoin is reverse correlated to the DXY rather than directly correlated to the S&P 500, and the DXY can go in an opposite direction than the S&P 500 can in terms of correlation. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin right now, guys. I hope you found the video interesting and important. It was a pretty important one, just giving you a quick update on what's going on short term. And yeah, that's about it. So without further ado, go ahead and check out a few things, guys. Check out the BitGet exchange first and foremost, and most importantly, this is an exchange in which you can get 5 times lower fees than Binance, which is commonly regarded as the cheapest exchange in the cryptocurrency market. BitGet will take its place in that regard. BitGet is literally the cheapest exchange I have found in the cryptocurrency market. It's non-KYC, right? So it means you can sign up from anywhere in the world using a VPN if you want to from the United States of America, and selecting other as the country of origin as you would do on most exchanges that are available to US users. Yeah, so sign up to this one, you get a 15% trading fee discount for life for signing up using my referral link, and also access to an exclusive reward center. Go ahead and do that. And also the Crypto Academy, if you want to learn how to trade, you want to learn how to master TA, you want to learn how to analyze charts on a daily basis and in a professional level, this is the way to do it. This is a course, a 10-unit course called Become a Trader, and you can find out all the information about that course on the website, which I'll leave in the description below. On top of this, guys, the VIP group chat is basically a paid group, 100 USD for 3 months, where we trade altcoins sub daily. We have the results released for Q4 that I'll leave in the description below. You can check out the results so you can see what the group generally does. We're very profitable in there. We've had a very good Q1, and the results for Q1 we'll be releasing at the end of this month here and at the start of April. Sorry, so get excited for that as well. I did make a community post asking for questions on Bitcoin. If you have any questions about Bitcoin TA, let me know on this community post. I was going to answer it in this video, but I didn't get enough questions, so I'm going to wait for tomorrow. Post any questions there. But okay, guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.